Here we go, we're getting ready for half a session indeed. It is wet, it is wild. We're about to go racing here at Barcelona. Hello and welcome to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. There is a bit of a delay to the start of this session with GT cars just coming off the circuit. It is certainly quite wet. We are 40 seconds away here from the session and the coverage getting underway. We are about to go racing. It's time for qualifying for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Can Freddie Slater retake back the championship lead? Matteo Polo leads by 10 points heading into this round. All he has to do is keep that. Can he do it? Let's find out. It's time for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, certified by the FIA. Let's get to qualifying.
Well, we welcome you on this very rain-soaked morning here for yet another episode in the 2025 season of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Qualifying 2 about to kick off now. Group B heading out first. We are live here from Montemelo in Spain with 22 degrees in the air. It's still relatively warm. Track temperature, though, down at 23 degrees at the moment. Hasn't hit the heights due to the immense rainfall we've had and serious humidity standing at 92% as we're currently seeing it. And we're not wasting any time for you folks at home. We're already out on track, ready to kick things off here in qualifying 2. And as you can rightfully see, the grooved tyres on the car of Matteo De Paolo, your race winner from yesterday, and in that same process taking the championship lead away from Freddie Slater. There is a 4-point gap between Matteo De Paolo and Freddie Slater at the top of the championship, and it's more becoming a 2-horse race. Though Pedro Clearo will very likely be looking to try and bring some points home himself. Of course, the race winner from race 2 at Red Bull Ring, certainly not done yet. And after I spoke to him yesterday in the paddock, he is still pushing for that overall Drivers' Championship representing Van Amersfoort Racing. Freddie Slater, I'm sure, though, will be back, I'm sure, with a bang later on. Said it himself that he felt the start was a little bit messy on his part, but looked to get away cleanly from what we saw on the broadcast. But of course he would know better than we certainly do. And after we spoke to Matteo De Paolo after qualifying 1 yesterday, he said that it's all about the start, and it almost certainly was yesterday. He was a prophet, obviously, off the back of qualifying, telling us
So the car's already out there on the circuit, and as you heard there, George Morgan saying, the grooved wet tyres on these cars, and so deservingly, because this circuit is ultimately just puddles at this point. If you went out there on the slick tyres, you'd have to be a really, really brave man to even set a lap, to even get down into turn number 1 without aquaplaning, as Matteo De Paolo sliding absolutely everywhere at the moment, trying to get that wet tyre up to temperature. But of course, you've got to be careful that you don't actually burn the tyre out so early on in this session. That is going to be critical. Matteo De Paolo sets the first lap down of a 157.0, and everybody else will follow through. But I'm going to guess the more laps that these drivers do, the better conditions it will be, with the track drying up as more and more cars go around. QA this time around will get the best track conditions here with, and quite literally, because the track will be a little bit drier from QB from qualifying 2 here from, well, Group B, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, so on in the championship. Yesterday, a few big surprises up there. Few that really should have been up there, as we take a look at here a replay of Matteo Di Paolo getting sideways on that wet tyre there, trying to continue to get rear temperature, unless that's purposeful or unless it's a mistake here, which you don't normally see many mistakes so far. We haven't seen many mistakes from Matteo Di Paolo so far this season, so it would almost be shocking if he did make a mistake. It's Evan Julter, you'd see there, kicking up the water behind him, all the trail marks of water behind him, as this is a very, very wet circuit at the moment. 9.5 minutes to go as Matteo Di Paolo continues to make his way around and up through into the final corners of this more or less stunning circuit that we have here this weekend at Barcelona. Running through turn 14 into New Holland, and out the other side, Matteo Di Paolo will continue to improve his lap times as this session goes on. 8 minutes 50 seconds to go in this one, as we look with the number 22 of Nendo Birenbakti here. Yesterday finished P7 in that race with a battle for fourth. Really going down to the wire. Evan Julter's just improved his time, by the way, doing a 1:54.4. Now, I'm going to expect that these times will be very, very much slower compared to the ones that we are going to see in Q1A in about 10 minutes time. But of course, if it continues to rain, then this might be the best conditions that these drivers and cars will get as we ride on board and look at Evan Julter, who is currently at the top of this session, a 1:54.446. Track is 14 seconds slower. Really, only 4 seconds off the crossover time, which is about 10 seconds off the pace. If you're about 10 seconds off the pace, then on the dry tyres, then you're on the wet tyres, more or less. But should be quite interesting indeed. I'm going to guess that this track will not be fully dry by the end of this session, even by the end of qualifying here with 7 minutes to go, as Evan Julter makes his way around and into the final corner, the long right-hander of turn 14 into New Holland now for Evan Julter. The time to beat of a 1:54.4 set by himself. Can he improve that? A lot of sliding has gone on throughout this lap. No, he can't. He can't improve this lap. Are those tyres just slightly starting to overheat? You can see the spray being kicked up there from Evan Julter. Matteo Di Paolo having to get off that optimal racing line to try and stop that spray from being kicked up there in Matteo Di Paolo's face. He's done a 56.2 at the moment, is Matteo Di Paolo. So still a little bit off. 4 seconds. 2.2 seconds off the pace there, as we see Evan Julter backing out and Matteo Di Paolo continuing on. Maybe just trying to cool down that wet weather tyre, because it can overheat. Those blocks can overheat, and it can reduce the grip of the tyre, or the maximum grip of the tyre. When the tyre's at its peak, that means it is possibly at its best. When we see the tyre at its best, it's quite good indeed. You do tend to get some pretty good lap times out of it here, as we look at, once again, Matteo Di Paolo, who was a big man yesterday, really topping race one sideways on the curb down there on that curbstone, really getting sideways, and now making, that is actually on the exit there of turn number 7, making now that long run up into 8 and 9. Continue to ride on board now, and he'll make his run into final corner, which is, he'll make his run into turn 14. There and out of there. Matteo Polo stays P3, 156.2. I was looking at the wrong track map. I was looking at Montreal. I was like, hello. Yeah, I was looking at Montreal on my track map here. Whoops, that's fine. Yeah. 4 minutes and 45 seconds to go as we see Evan Joubert pulling out of the pit lane. Maybe just cooling down that Pirelli wet tyre a little bit. Pedro Claro, 4 tenths up in the second sector on the lap that he has done. The lap that Pedro Claro has done is a 54.9. He's 4 tenths up. 4 tenths off Evan Joubert. So this is practically matching through the second sector, Pedro Claro. Now making his way into the final corner. He's backed out rapidly. So Pedro Claro here backed out of this lap. And once more trying to cool the tyres down. Pedro Claro has actually just gone to the top on that lap. 154.3 there. Pedro Claro, very good lap indeed. 154.3. I thought this is Pedro Claro we were running on board with, but this is Yamakashi we're riding on board with here. 154.3 for Pedro Claro. Top of the timesheets now. Here Yamakashi we're looking at here. Prepping for a lap. He's now going to start one with 3.5 minutes to go. He should get a few consecutive laps out of this. Pirelli wet tyre. Pedro Claro continuing to go on with it 1 tenth up through the first sector as Yamakashi starts his lap on the run down into turn number 1, which is Elf Corner. Evan Joubert fastest through the second sector. He was a bit off in the first sector, but he's continuing on with it here. Evan Joubert out of the final corner. This will go to the top. 154.3 the time to beat. He will go to the top. Evan Joubert. No, he won't. He actually won't. 54.4 that time around. 54.5 for Evan Joubert. Pedro Claro 1 tenth up through the first sector. Not big improvements, actually, for these cars. Not as big as what I was expecting. Maybe a lot of drivers very cautious with these slippery, slick conditions. Not many puddles, but there is genuinely water on the circuit here. So it's that shine on the circuit. It's just making it hard to find much time. Matteo Polo has at least a second to find in that lap time. He's in third, 1.8 seconds off the pace. If he continues with the lap that he's on, 1.8 seconds down, he will be probably further back down the grid than what he would have liked. Pedro Claro, 3 tenths up. All together, nearly half a second up here. This will be a really good lap from Pedro to the line. It's going to be 54.1. So he did improve on that lap by 2 tenths there. Taito Kato up into 4th. Ramos up into 5th. And here Yamakashi quickly dropped to 6th in a short period of time. As we look at, once more, Pedro Claro making his run through the top of the circuit now and into the right-hander. Continuing on again with this stunning pace that we have seen. As we take a look at a replay of Baron Bakti. Sorry, this is Jack Beaton, the Australian. Jack Beaton trying to find the grip on these blocked wet tyres. This is Baron Bakti. Also trying to find grip out there and trying to keep these tyres cool.
Drivers returning to the team. Matteo Capietto being one of them. And not to mention Santiago Ramos after he achieved 2 wins in FIA Formula 3 of the last campaign. Ramos behind the wheel and sat in 5th place at the moment is the Mexican, as we now watch as Claro thunders down through towards turn 10. Still a gap of just over 3 tenths separating Joubert and Claro. We're coming into the final 35 seconds of qualifying here for Group B. Group A going out first here this morning. Now Claro descends downhill through the double right-handers before then making his way down towards the final corner. Dion Garda also finding improvements in Sector 1 with the 34.8. races across the line, and one final lap now to send off this second qualifying session for himself. Brazilian, showing all of his talent. He said it himself that he is still very much in this title fight, and he is points-wise for sure, but he needs to capitalise in every single race leading through to the end of the season, and of course, including today, we've got 5 races to take us through to the checkered flag of the 2025 campaign, with rounds at Hockenheim and Monza during Actually Sport weekend, which will send off the final season of this series, now being partnered with Alpine. And look at this from Evan Gilter. He has found purple in the first sector, but so has Pedro Cleiro. The 2 reigning drivers at the top of the time classification here in Q2. They're now bringing in the big times, and Gilter purple in the middle sector as well. We could be seeing a last gasp effort here from Gilter, who gets it all wrong, coming through the final sector and into the gravel. The Frenchman, and now isn't that just the cherry on the Bakewell cake for Evan Gilter? It was going so well through the course of this lap, and it's all come to a grinding halt, but he's going to continue anyway to set the time. A big swapper with the hands coming through the final corner, and this again throws a huge opportunity Cleiro's way as the checkered flag is waved. Gilter losing an incredible 2.7 seconds. But Cleiro purple in the first 2 sectors. He has gone purple where Gilter has. He's not going to make a mistake through the final sector either. Looking to rubber stamp and guide himself to furthermore provisional pole position. Matteo De Parlo also already taken the checkered flag, so does he. Yamakoshi Taito Kato dropped to 6 as beats and moves to 5th, but Pedro Cleiro looking to further his gap at the top, and does by over a stunning 6.5 tenths plus, nearly 6 3/4. This is the moment for Evan Gilter again, just getting those left tyres into the gravel, just overextending on the run up the hill. The pressure was mounting on poor Evan Gilter at that point. He knew he had a great chance, but it all fell afoul right when he needed it most, and it's Pedro Cleiro, provisional pole sitter so far. We still have Group A going out for the second part of the session, but that is an immense time for the young Brazilian, and every opportunity now to come away with yet another pole. Is Pedro Cleiro fastest here with a 1:53.773 for Van Amersfoort Racing, ahead of Evan Gilter and ART-GP, who was so close to taking it back. Matteo De Parlo in 3rd, Hiyu Yamakoshi in 4th, Jack Beaton in 5th. Great lap from Jack Beaton right at the end to jump ahead of Taito Kato, ahead of Santiago Ramos in 7th as well, Rubiki Liu in 8th, Dion Gouda in 9th, highest placed rookie in this group, with Maceo Capietto in 10th, and Nanovid Birenbakti 11th, Tim Gerhards in 12th, with fellow Santalot driver Jaroslav Vasalo down in 13th. So Pedro Cleiro, his is the time to beat. So it's going to be the mission of Group A to go out there now and take it away. But that brings an end to Group B session, and we now look ahead to Group A. That'll be coming up very shortly now. So sit tight everybody, won't be long before we get back underway for the next session. Qualifying 2 certainly getting off to a busy start, and luckily enough the rain is abated as well, not a problem for us to deal with. You know, it's must say credit to the drivers, very minimal incidents out there on circuits, apart from obviously Gilter's moments right at the end that cost him a potential provisional pole spot. I'm sure he'd be very disappointed with that, but still he is going to feature on the 2nd row of the grid. But which side of the grid depends on whether Pedro Cleiro will be on pole position or not, and that will only be decided after Group A conclude qualifying. But it won't be long before we see them go back out there and look to lay down their final laps of the weekend in a qualifying trim situation. Been some of the best performers, certainly over the last 3 years of us coming to race here. 4 occasions out of the 6 where we've qualified here at Barcelona, it's gone Prama's way.
You're kidding. You're actually fucking kidding me right now. Bro, what the flip? Oh, shit. Oh, no, don't crash. No, don't crash. No, no, no. Of course my internet dies. Of course it does. Of course it fucking does. Of course it does. Of course my internet dies. No, no, no. Can't just, like, stay alive. Gotta die. Like it always does. Fuss and hairspray. Fuss. Like, bro. Bro, this is not even fun. What the flip? This is actually unbelievable. The unbelievability is insane. This is actually so unbelievable, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how unbelievable this is. You actually sting me right now. I think I might just end it all. I think it's just ended. I think I might just end my life. Do you reckon that's a good idea? I reckon that's a spectacular idea. It's an absolute spooktacular idea. I don't even know if my stream's still running because I can't even check it because my internet's decided to go down. Boss. Like, who does this to a man? Like, come on. Who does this to a guy? Golly. Why would you do this to such a poor innocent soul? I'm just a poor innocent soul in this world, okay? Don't even try me. I'm a poor innocent soul. In this poor innocent world. I don't even know if I'm still alive.
I'm sure will mean a lot to him. We've had so far this season.
Am I still alive? I better be fussing alive, bro. Fussing crash out. In this poor innocent world. I don't even know if I'm still alive. I'm live. That's awesome. Okay.
The G4 racing car just in front of him as well as they peel off down through towards the birth curve. Out of Seat, and then they'll take the run up the hill through towards Campster Corner as well. There's the 19 of Canato Lay. Trying to find the line uphill. Then through the very fast right-hander, which you can generally take flat out, but I think in these conditions they won't be trying anything quite like that. So still using all of the circuit as Nikita Bedrin has a swapper further back too. Trying to squeeze every ounce out of this car, obviously. Sansalok well known for their sports car racing, but in recent years they made their single-seater debut in this very championship. Carrying the name of Fittipaldi in their first season, of course. It was Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. that was driving for them in the initial stages of their run in this championship. And of course now Nikita Bedrin and all his experience, that proving vital to their continuation in single-seater racing as they look to improve and develop through each and every season. So they now come through the final corners. Canato Lay registering the fastest time, 1:54.695. Nikita Bedrin, second fastest. Eddie Robinson into third. Sakir Al-Maushari into fourth. Now actually Borra jumps ahead of Al-Maushari this time in the RSGP. But still a fair gap from our P1 sitter right now. Rashid Al-Ahiri popping into third, just behind Nikita Bedrin. Jin Nakamura into fourth. Enzo Delini now into fourth ahead of his teammate Nakamura. As the number 3 of Sakir Al-Maushari makes his way through. Michael Bellot from CL Motorsport just behind Delini now this time. Freddie Slater up into 6. We have Juan Pukui, was in his first weekend in Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, fresh out of British F4 and joining the Prema team as a wild card this weekend. Currently sat behind Edouard Borgner, but ahead of Giovanni Maschio, who sets in the slowest time so far. I got a chance to catch up with Giovanni Maschio late yesterday as well, and he was actually looking forward to the rain this time around. Of course, last time we had rain, I think, was back at Zandvoort, I think was the last time, and unfortunately for Maschio, I think he had a bit of a tumble into the gravel at the banked corners. Be hoping he doesn't have the same again this time, but down in 13th at the moment. Of course, these are just the initial laps we're seeing. Got 9 minutes and 40 to run. But it's Lay, Bedrin and Aldahiri at the moment. The current time nestled in is a 1:54.695. Not requisite of pole position just yet. Of course, remember, Pedro Clara's time is the one to beat him, a 1:53.773. You see them all clambering over one another, coming down in towards turn 10. There's Rashid Aldahiri in the Yas Heat liveried Prema. Here comes the 23 of Enzo Dellini, fresh off the back of losing his front wing in yesterday's race, looking for an improved race this time. You'll be hoping his race can actually get started here this time as well, and searching for the spray. Now, this is going to be the challenge for this group, because whilst, of course, it is wet conditions, it's a challenge for every group this time. It's actually improving out there on track, but not improving enough. You'd fallen for slick tyres, so they're now being tasked here, Group A, of finding the wetter lines so they can maximise any ounce of grip they can on these wet tyres. Jin Nakamura with an improved time, but not an improved position. He's just actually lost his position to Enzo Dellini again now, P4. So Nakamura back down to 5th. Belov now uproots them both, so now pushes his CL Motorsport car into 4th place. So a good lap there from Michael Belov, who will feature on row 8 if it stays like this. Canato Lay, purple in the first sector on this lap as well. You just see Enzo Dellini fighting his car through the first sector and yearning to find more time. There's an improvement to the first sector.
Yeah.
Bora as well. Jin Nakamura finding time. 2 greens for Michael Belov. Canato Lay, purple though, with the 76 thousandths improvement on his first time, but Enzo Dellini, after fighting the car, has actually found a purple first sector of his own as well, a 34.141 to go quicker on this lap by over a tenth of Canato Lay inside that first sector. So Canato Lay now needs to try and find something else in the latter 2 if he wants to retain this P1 spot right now with 7 minutes and 40 to go. As he descends downhill, taking that tighter line to the inside, will now need to go out wide in order to undertake the corner. Just swapping the hands now as he makes his way through the left-hander at turn 10. Then back uphill. Through turn 11 at back San Bedell. Canato Lay, who was not featured on the podium at all, is not featured on pole position. Just point-scoring finishes have come sporadically so far this season. Managed to get a single point yesterday after finishing in P10, as now the number 19 makes its way through the final corner. Canato Lay back on the power. Digging deep for a big result here at the end of qualifying 2, Group A. Crossing the line, he must find an improvement. I don't think he has though, 1:55.226. So that is nowhere near where he was before. The 1:54.6 is actually Bora's gone second fastest. We've got Rashid Aldahiri down in 3rd at the moment, but Enzo Dellini the one to watch, and he could yet go fastest. Not quite. Only up for second fastest now as we see the mist now start to rise from the surface of the circuit. But you've got more drivers improving as well. Freddie Slater is green in the first 2 sectors. Giovanni Maschio, who's already improved to 9th, he's improved in the middle sector. Ranpu Kui also with 2 personal bests. Slater goes second fastest, just behind Canato Lay, and it's 37 thousandths between Lay and Freddie Slater right now. The finest of margins here so far. Not quite as fine as yesterday. Of course, remember, Matteo De Parlo, his time gap between himself and Freddie Slater as they fought for pole was 29 thousandths of a second. But now some of the cars, after completing those initial runs, just slowing down, getting the tyres back in the window of where they need to be. Jin Nakamura with a personal best in the first sector as well. So has Nikita Bedrin. Rashid Aldahiri also finding green as well, but Slater bringing the gap down closer to Canato Lay. But how do the rest of the grid respond? Eddie Robinson has found a green first sector as well, and is currently fastest of the rookies here in Group A. He's got Ranpu Kui behind him, as well as Eddie Robinson, or Edouard Borgner, I should say. Sakir Al-Moshari down in 13th right now. There's a little bit of traffic further back, as you can see Enzo Dellini just on the back of Edouard Borgner and his teammates as well. 2 G4s together. Of course, the team where Michael Belov picked up one of his 2 victories in. during his formative years in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. He's been part of this series now for such a long time. As now Rashid Al-Lahiri also searches for track space and has actually lost time in the middle sector, so that's mitigated his first sector green time. Jin Nakamura green in the first two sectors and goes up to 6th fastest now. Just losing a little bit of time in the final sector. It was not a personal best for Jin Nakamura in sector 3. Rashid Al-Lahiri looking to improve on his lap. 5th fastest for him. We're now coming down into a very sensitive point in qualifying now. 4 minutes and 30 left. We found them at this stage. Maybe 2 more laps at best can be ferried in by these drivers. Because they've got to factor in a cool-down run as well. Get the tyres prepped for one last chance to dance. As it stands, Kanato Lay fastest with a 1:54.695. Just inside of a second is the difference between Clero and Lay's fastest time at the moment. But could we see a shock? See Kanato Lay pick up pole position for the first time in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. It's a personal best in the first sector for Edouard Borgner. That's a 35.0 going his way at the moment. He's ahead of Sakir Al-Moushari, fellow G4 racing driver. But no improvements elsewhere through the entirety of the 13 cars that we have got out of track here in Group A so far. Here in qualifying 2 as they whip the tails out on the Tata chassis, flying over the hill on the Pirelli tyres. Descending downhill into the heavy braking zone at turn 10 will then lift upwards to the highest point of the racetrack, aside from Kamsa Corner. And then downhill again, as you can still see the spray starting to ferry outwards, but it is getting brighter out here. We've got some green skies, blue skies elsewhere. Giovanni Maschio, unfortunately, venturing into the gravel trap at turn 5. So you'll have to rejoin as well. Luckily enough, though, keeping the car running so he doesn't get stranded out there. And not causing too much of a problem for other drivers around either. Because now we see them cross the line once more. We've got purple tyres coming in already. Michael Bell on purple in that middle sector, and Delaney has gone fastest. So here we go. Freddie Slater. Purple in the first sector has lost a little bit of time in the middle though, however. Belov still purple in the middle with a 45.903. He's currently 0.3 faster than Freddie Slater in the middle sector. That could be enough to change things well and truly upwards. So finally the deficit has been broken. Kanato Lay finally uprooted from top spot in our timing screen. Freddie Slater coming out of the final corner now at turn 14, looking to lift himself all the way from P3 up to the higher echelons of this timing screen. And Slater goes fastest this time. Looking for back-to-back pole positions, and this time to take it from lights to flag, like fellow Prema drivers before him, such as James Wharton, Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Paul Aaron. He'll look to